All right, folks, and welcome to another research hour. And in this session, we're going to go through our usual process and step of first reviewing and analyzing the market from big picture overview. Then let's take a quick look at the headline story, see what's on the minds of investors. And then after that, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the stocks that we've taken positions yesterday and today to walk you a little bit more through our thought process on what we're paying attention to, why we're taking these positions, and that it becomes a little bit more clear after you review module number 3, Alpha Stock Investing Strategy, and any of the other modules within the stock investing course. So let's first start again with the S&P 500. Let me maximize my chart right here. So QQQs. Well, let's first start with the S&P 500, as I've mentioned. And wow, look at the S&P 500. It's definitely moving higher, heading right up to our previous high of resistance. And we're right here. Now, what we want to see today, if this market continues higher, is to close above the 394.17 mark, which is the all-time high on the SPYs. And we're getting there. We're definitely going after that. The only thing that I'm concerned with is the volume, number of market participants up here. But don't forget that what has been driving the market higher of late is the cyclical names, the industrial, energy sectors, materials, metals, and mining. And now you have airlines, defense companies, manufacturing companies starting to hedge higher, pushing the overall market in the S&P 500 higher. So that's really what's been driving this move to the upside. And of course, the one that has been lagging over the last couple of weeks and months has been the Nasdaq. You can see right here, the Nasdaq is also hedging higher after bouncing from the previous support point that we drew last week, and is still moving higher. My only concern with the Qs is that it's still below the 50-day moving average line. As you can see right here on my screen, let me zoom in a little bit more. You can see right here the 50-day moving average line. If we get to this point, I suspect that there might be other market participants looking perhaps to sell some of their short-term positions, perhaps swing traders buying some of the beaten down growth names, ride them up to the upside, and then perhaps take a quick profit over here. But if you are a longer-term bull, if you have a time horizon of 3, 6, 12 months, if the market continues higher, then you can still hold some of your longer-term positions. But this is still concerning to me on the Nasdaq because it has been the lagging one out of the rest of the other indices. If we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or the diamonds, DIA, you can see that the diamonds is all-time highs, right? It moved or bounced from the 50-day moving average line. It did it here last week. It did it also last month. So the diamonds, it's in a bull market. It's creeping higher. Of course, the diamonds, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, represents the largest 30 companies within the U.S. economy. It's a broader barometer on different sectors. And this is definitely hedging higher because most of the stocks that are composing the industrial average are industrial companies. Okay, so that's moving higher because the economy is picking up steam and we're starting to reopen. And lastly, the IWM, the Russell 2000, the basket of mid-cap high-growth companies, same story. Right around the all-time highs, breaking resistance. I want to see a little bit more volume coming at the end of the day. And again, bounce off the 50-day moving average line. The other thing to look at is from a weekly perspective. I like to look at the weekly just to get a little bit more confirmation. And it's a lot more clear in the IWM now that we're looking at the weekly time frame. You see it's less choppy than the daily chart. And on the weekly, you could see that buyers are stepping in. So this is an opportunity for those of you that want to come back into the market to perhaps start taking your position if you haven't done so. And what would be your stop? Well, perhaps the low of the week if you are buying the IWM on an index. Now, let's look at individual stocks, okay? We looked at previously, yesterday, we looked at NP, okay, on a weekly time frame. Look at the MP. Buyers are stepping in. I like this candle setup. If we convert this back to the daily and watch it on the daily, you see it's creeping higher. We actually have a position on the stock. We took this position today on this higher move to the upside. And I also like the weekly. And you're starting to see a little bit more of my thought process. And when I first went over this stock, it was trading right around here, but it's remaining intact, this upper trend line. Okay, bounce from here, it's bouncing from here as well. We have new buyers coming in, so game on. I am in this trade. Of course, earnings are coming out, I believe, next week, so that's something that I'm looking at. I own options in this one. No, about 1% of my portfolio is concentrated on this on the option side, not taking too much of a risk because, again, this one has higher exposure to the Nasdaq as well, and this is a growth name. Let's look at another one of the stocks that we looked at as well previously. Mara, okay, still moving higher. Let's go and look at the daily. Yep, it's still moving higher, bouncing up here. Remember that I talked about yesterday that if it gets inside the previous week high trading range, it would potentially be an opportunity for me to start reviewing this trade and considering it for a long-term position on the option side. Again, only 1% of my equity I will be putting on this name. And on a weekly time frame, this is what I care about. I care about the previous high trading range of February 15th. If we get inside this week, I might be looking to take this one long. Let's take a look at another one. Peloton. It's one of the ones that I've been looking at previously. Peloton is also catching a bounce this week. You can see right here on a weekly time frame. For those of you that may like this stock, from a execution standpoint, you can start taking a nimble a few shares in this one on this week. But of course, make sure you have your stop. Where would I place my stop? At the low of this week's trading range. So for example, right now the stock is trading at 115.55. What is the low of the week? The low of the week is at 101. So if I take a small position, I will probably have my stop be at 101 of this week to preserve any downside risk potential. But if you are a long-term bull on Peloton, you might be perhaps one of the first one to buy in on the first week of buying when buyers stepped in. And just to use a little bit of history, obviously hindsight is 2020, but I always like to measure the story and what were the variables and the catalysts that moved the stock higher. This is what I'm anticipating. The turn in direction on the week and then moves higher, and it doesn't violate the low of that particular trading range week. Okay. Let's look at another name. And actually, let's see this on a daily basis, how it's trading. Okay. It's respecting a respected support, as you see right here. And if you were to plot the 50-day moving average line, you'll also see that Peloton was right around the 200, the 200-day moving average line around here in this area. And now you're getting that bounce. My only concern with Peloton is the volume that is declining and is still below the 50-day moving average line. So just have your stops in place and be careful, because this still has a lot of overhead supply, a lot of overhead resistance over here. So make sure that you understand the growth of the story of this company, the potential upside, the size of the industry, the competition, and what is the sentiment from other institutional investors on this stock and also retail investor. And do your homework, place your bet, and time will tell. But always have your stops in place to reduce your risk. Place the proper position size in your portfolio so that you don't get hurt or too much into trouble when you're taking these type of names. Let's look at another one. VUZI. We own this one. We're actually long in our education portfolio. And why did I take this one long? Well, the first thing is that you can see that it's bouncing off the 50-day moving average line. Okay. They have earnings coming up. Look at the volume increase, okay? And look at, on the down days, look at the volume is less. On the up days, the volume is higher, okay? If we change this to the weekly, should be a little bit more clear, okay? Look at this volume increase right here, breaking out on significant volume. On down days is less than up weeks, okay? And now we're getting that bounce. And this is what I like to see. So I am long this stock. They're due to announce earnings pretty soon. And also, if we look at the growth of this stock, okay, right here, number 12, look at the revenue growth. 70% this year, 77%, 94% after that, and 111% after that. So this is a high growth name. I want to own it, and I'm in it. Let's see here. And in terms of portfolio weight and how I'm executing it, I'm doing it with option, and I have only 1% of my portfolio. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I'm not trying to go and take a 20% position in option in my portfolio. That is too risky, at least for me. I will not want to do that. I don't recommend it. I always want to be in control, and I want to minimize my downside risk. 1%, whereas I can potentially make 5 or 10x on this name, okay? And of course, you could come up with your own price target by going over our preliminary sales multiple and PE multiple price target valuation, which we discussed in module number 7, I believe, which is valuation. Let's take a look at Snapchat, which is another of the names that we own in our education portfolio. Same picture, same story with the stocks that I'm starting now to take positions on. You see here, today is Thursday. We have already 4 days in the trading week, and look at the buyer stepped in. So the Nasdaq is still staying positive. It's up 2% for the day. And is this going to be the bottom that will set the tone for the next wave to the upside on tech and high growth names? So I see the buying stepped in. It's respecting the 50-day moving average line. Let's switch this to the daily. You can see it right here as well. It's respecting the 50-day moving average line. And now we're getting more of the buying stepping in. The other clue for you to identify and recognize the volume when they reported earnings 2 quarters ago. Again, here, better than expected earnings. Look at the volume. Look at the volume here. And on the downside, light volume. This is what you want to see. The big boys are piling into this name, and I'm in it. I'm long this one, 1% in option of my portfolio. And again, when we look at the growth on the top line, let's see right here. Let's pull them up on our graph. Number 30. Let's see. 3.8 billion, 5.5 billion in revenue, 7.7, 11. I mean, this thing just keeps growing. And look at that, double digits, higher than 25%, which is what? It's part of our alpha checklist. Is sales greater than 20% or higher? Yes. Earnings, let's take a look here. Do we have earnings on this one? Let me unhide these columns. Okay, so for 2021, they're expected probably to operate at a loss, but then look at earnings for 2022 and 2023, triple digit. So again, I'm long this name, and I have about 1% in options concentrated that represents my overall portfolio. We already talked about NP, AM, which we actually went over yesterday. Yep, there it is. We went over this one yesterday. I'm long. I have options on this name. It's bouncing, okay? They reported earnings this morning, and it's moving higher. Now, let's look at it on a weekly basis. I mean, all you see is only buyers on a weekly time frame. Look at the volume. Look at the volume. Look at the, wow. There's really no sellers inside on this one. They really want to take this one higher. Let's see revenue on it. So amtx. All right. Look at the growth. 23%, 41, 32, 33, and then 12. Wow, 1,200% in 2023. So I like this name. I'm long. And if you look at it on a daily, right? Let's zoom in on a daily. You don't see much buyers. I mean, guys, this is exactly what you want to be seeing. Look at the volume. No sellers. Look here. No sellers, right? The stock declined severely here during the market decline, but there's not that many sellers in place. So this tells me that there's other market participants. It could be hedge funds. It could be institutional investors that have piled into this name, looking to hold for 3, 6, maybe 9 months. So I'm anticipating a bigger move to the upside on this one. How high can it be? Maybe a $25 or $30 price target. I'm looking for this stock to at least double. All right. And again, you could do your own preliminary analysis on this one to come up with your own price target. DraftKings, this one is around all-time highs. There it is, breaking this resistance. Let's see on a weekly time frame, it becomes a lot more clear. Here was the previous high, okay? We're already above this benchmark. We're above 64, and look at the buyers stepping in this week. So this one's one of those stocks that might start leading the market higher on the technology side. The all-time high was right up here at 72.16. We could just round this to 72. So I own it. Yeah, I have options on this one, 1% of my portfolio, and I'm looking to hold these for the next 3 months. And unless I get stopped out, if the stock reverse, if it comes down and I get stopped out, so be it. But I'm putting the odds on my side. Buyers are stepping in. Nasdaq is holding up. S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average are also at all-time highs. So I'm hoping that the two major broader indices, the S&Ps, the SPYs, and the diamonds, continue hedging higher, which would help move the Nasdaq higher as well. And then more buyers could come in and sustain and hold these stocks up. Okay. And the last one that I do own is this one. Okay. Gamida Cells. This is a pharmaceutical company. We're waiting for clinical trial on this one. I believe it's going to be on Monday of next week that they're going to be reporting some of their results. And if the results are positive, I'm expecting this stock to increase 10, 20, or 30%. The way I'm playing this one, again, is through options, only 1% of my portfolio. And I'm waiting. But I can see here this week, it's holding fairly up, pretty much unchanged, really. I want to see more buyers. We did see buyers here in February. We did see buyers back here in December. In both occasions, we were actually trading this name, but now I'm expecting a bounce, only if the clinical data is positive and is significant enough to attract larger institutional investors that might drive this price much higher. So those are the stocks that I have on my list right here in terms of positions. Make sure you study module number 3. Now, with that being said, I'll open it up to questions. We have extra time here for questions. So any questions from any of the members attending this call? And while I wait for some questions, let's take a look at Wayfair. Wayfair was one of those stocks that I did an entire analysis, and I have a 365 price target. Same thing with Wayfair. You're seeing the buyers come in this week on a daily time frame. It's just consolidating up here. Not major selling, right? Look at the volume on the down days, but then look at the volume on the up day. Even though it's been declining here, but look at the range on the days that the stock increases. Look at the range. This tells me that there are big institutions piling into this name, and sooner or later, some other big level institution is going to try to come in here, and it's just going to take this stock much higher and probably surpassing the 360 benchmark. So I'm watching this one. I don't have a position on it yet. I'm waiting for it to clear this area right here. Okay, this could create a small pattern. Okay, if you're into technical analysis, this could be a continuation pattern or an A to B to C to D pattern. Okay, and perhaps take me to 360. So this is what I'm looking at for Wayfair and how I'm interpreting it. But on the fundamental basis, I like the growth. I like the business model. I like the whole emerging or sustainable trend that has been happening because of COVID, where people fled major cities, moved to the suburbs, and started to work from home. And since they're spending more time at home, they're remodeling, they're improving their homes, and Wayfair is essentially the Amazon of home furnishing. One of my alerts just went off. Let's see this one. Which one is it? HCNP. Okay. Yeah, this is one of those stocks that was also on my list, and I might be looking to buy this one. If we look at it on a weekly time frame, first thing I'm seeing is the volume, the accumulation of shares, and under the consolidation period, volume this week right here was a little bit higher than expected, but it stayed within this range, right? And now you're seeing the volume pick up on the upside. So is this week the beginning of a major trend move higher? Potentially. So I might probably be looking into buying options at this one. Again, only 1% of my portfolio I am putting into these ideas. If I'm wrong, I'll probably risk 50 basis points. I'll probably risk half of that 1%. If I'm right, I stand to gain between 5 and 10%. That's a trade. Those are odds that I'm willing to take any day of the week. And of course, I understand the growth of this company. I understand the business, the fundamentals. That's why it's here. That's why I have it right here. All right. All right, folks. So I see no questions. All right. So I guess everyone is good. Everyone's getting and understanding what I'm doing. All right. Well, let's see. One question just came in. Let's see here. So I see this one's from Luke. Hey, Luke. So I believe you said there you were, mostly cash, market all-time highs. However, in recent pullback, potentially move upside, expect deploying some cash into the market. Yes, Luke. So this morning, as I saw the market moving higher, and on the Nasdaq, things are holding over 2% in terms of gains, I started to take positions in the market. These are the names that I currently own. Each one of these names represent about 1% of my portfolio in terms of options. And the reason why I started to take these positions is because if you look at these names on a weekly basis, right, you can see the buyers stepping in. You can see it, right? This is on a weekly. So the buyers are stepping in. So this is what I like to see. Earlier in the week, I did not want to be the first one in because we were still correcting. We could still had another leg to the downside, but now I'm seeing buyers step in. So is this going to be the first week where high growth and technology reverses and continues moving higher from there? Maybe that's a possibility, but I don't think on the Qs, we're out of the woods yet because we are still trading below the 50-day moving average line. In order for me to be fully confident on this, one, it needs to be above the 50-day moving average line. Two, it needs to be above 324, okay? And then start hedging higher. That's when I'll be fully confident and I can be, 30 to 40% of my portfolio back into the market where now I'm risk on. So right now, how many percentage this represents? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I only have 6%. 6% of my portfolio, it's in the market right now. But I need to see more move to the upside on the Qs. And again, on a weekly basis, you're seeing the buyers step in. This needs to hold. If we break the low of this week, then I'm probably going to be stopped out on all of these names and I'll lose maybe 3%. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But on the upside, all those positions that I have, 6%, I'm looking to make 20, 30, maybe 40% on those names if they all play. And that's obviously best case scenario, which is very unlikely. But this is how I'm playing the probability game and putting the odds on my favor, but also using options to expect a greater payout than what I'm willing to risk. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into my thought process and how I'm positioning my portfolio, given what I'm seeing here on the Qs. And of course, we review this at the first couple of minutes in the call, but look at the S&P 500. Look at the SPYs. The SPYs is telling a whole different story. The SPY is right at all-time highs. So you see that the Nasdaq is lagging, high-tech growth, and cyclical is moving higher. Okay, the industrial names are pushing the S&P 500 higher, and look at the diamonds. Look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Same story. Actually, no, the diamonds are an all-time high now. Let's see. Yep. The diamonds are at all-time highs. So you have two broader index in the overall market that are all-time highs. It's only a matter of time before they start to buy tech, and these two other broader index push tech higher. And I'm in here on these names, and I think these names are also going to lead the market higher. Notice that I'm not buying the old names that took the market higher last year. These are companies that can take the market higher this year, that can potentially be near all-time highs, or they're close to all-time highs. Let's see. The other one is the IWM. Look at the IWM, the Russell 2000, all-time highs. So you have 3 indices out of 4 that are at all-time highs. I have to have some skin in the game in the event that the Qs continue hedging higher as well. All right. So this is how I'm interpreting, and this is how I'm positioning my portfolio. All right, guys. I hope that answered your question, Luke. So I hope this was insightful. I'm in the markets now. You're starting to see how the week is changing. Capital is coming in, but I still have my caution in the market because the Qs are still trading below the 50-day moving average line, and I still want to see a lot more buyers. But on a weekly, I like what I see here on the weekly. I like what I see on the weekly, but don't forget that look at this. Look at this major sell-off that occurred in the last 2 weeks. So we need to get over 324 for me to gain more confidence. And then after that, 328. And then we have to stay above the 324 mark. And that's when I'll be start increasing my positions. All right. All right, guys, I'll end the session here. I'll keep it simple, short and sweet, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to study module number 3 and technical analysis and the options module. Take care. Bye-bye.